All right, let's do it.
All right, let's
let's
do it back.
Sorry.
Get this over with. Is that what you're about to say?
No, I just said let's do it.
No,
that's what it sounded like Curtis was about
No,
to
it
say.
just
It's
was
like,
like-
all right, let's get this over with. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Perry. This is my Bourbon podcast, and I got two guys who haven't been on in like 2 months now, at least.
It's been a while.
I just woke up. I was here yesterday. What happened?
Where did you come from?
Yeah, what in the
Have
world?
you been in my
Did we
basement?
drink last
Have you
time?
been in my basement?
Oh, no.
I've
Anyway,
always been here.
Curtis and Tanner are back. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
What's up?
Hope you're well. It's we've been all kind of trying to coordinate schedules and everything, and it hasn't
hard.
worked out until now.
Time sucks.
But yeah,
we need more of it.
Yeah.
I'm starting my petition for the 48-hour day now.
Yes.
You still
And
have
no
to sleep.
No. Yeah.
I would still sleep.
Let's
in the middle.
eradicate sleep by 2020.
Yeah.
Well, let's just move.
Who needs it?
Let's move the Earth closer to the sun,
There you go.
and that way, we have a longer day.
Yeah.
We'll grow accustomed to it eventually.
Sure. It'll be hot for a little while, but
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into everything, couple of quick notes. The first thing is that we are going to start doing something new on the show. I'm going to be filming the review and putting that up for Patreon subscribers.
Cool.
For a little bit of extra content. So towards the end, I'll just take a quick 2-second break and go, hey, we're filming. So just so you're aware of that before
then
we
I'm
get
on video. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I guess I have to put my shirt on.
Yeah. Put your black shirt on.
Yeah.
For those of everyone
You're
that,
starting the
that
video
aren't
today.
here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll
Sorry.
see why if you're a Patreon.
Well, yeah.
If
We'll
you're a
just
patron.
leave. We'll leave it at that.
I got to goof on these guys real hard.
Second thing is that I announced this on my live stream last week, but I'm officially going to be at the Southern Whiskey Society event at the end of this month on August 25th. It's an event put on by... What?
Nothing.
Oh, all right. It's an event put on by Made South. Chris Thomas is the guy who runs that company. And our friends over at the podcast, Quill and the Grease, are going to be there. I'll get there in
Okay.
just a second
Yeah.
because this is something else that I wanted to talk
I
about.
don't want to drink it yet.
This
Sorry,
is also
guys.
no, it's all good. It's
I
all
was
good.
like, he's jumping the gun.
This is also officially, or actually, I'll be at that Made South event. So if you want to come and check that out and be there with me, we're going to drink some bourbon and eat some good food and have a good time.
Yay.
So be on the lookout for that. I'll also post a link to tickets in the description of the episode. Next thing, this is actually my birthday episode because the day when this one comes out is the day after my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
So
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So lots of
Future
fun.
Perry?
Lots of fun
Yeah.
this week. And then the other thing is we owe Curtis a big congratulations because he just got engaged to his now fiance Allie. And so I figured I'd pour something a little bit special for us in honor of that. This is just sent to me by my friend Rarebird 101, David. This is a 2004 Wild Turkey 101.
He has his own labels.
He does have his own
That's-
labels. Yeah.
I don't
He's
know
a
if
good
that's-
dude.
I don't know
He's
if
a
that's
good
the
dude.
coolest or dorkiest thing
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
ever seen.
That's
Maybe
true.
both.
I thought about making my own for sample bottles as well. I am going to try to get David on an episode here sometime soon, but I really wanted to try this and figured it was a good opportunity too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I tried it, and it's pretty good.
yeah, you like it?
Cheers, early boy.
Yeah.
Cheers. Oh, snap.
Well, I didn't. First off, I did not think that it was going to be, because I didn't see you kind of pour it, or I didn't even know what
I
it
just saw a
was.
small mysterious bottle. I thought we were poisoned.
Yeah, so
I'm glad I'm still here.
It's
'cause
iocane powder.
I didn't know what it was, and I was drinking it, and it tastes like an 80, 90 proof.
Yeah.
Like I
No,
was
it
not.
doesn't.
There's no burn.
There's a... Sorry, no, I hit something and then I
Perry
was
just
like...
became Pac-Man for a second. Mom, open and close.
Well, no, I hit something that was really... It was a weird, chocolate note in the middle of my palate. That's why I was trying to discern what it actually
With
was.
that
I want to take another sip.
grotesque gesture you just gave us.
I'm sorry, it's part of my process, I guess. At this point. Hey, Kat, let's get down. Man, that's so good.
Speaking of which, have you
It's
guys
very
ever
good.
seen this? Is total non sequitur. Have you ever seen the video of the dude tasting the ice cream with a little spoon, and he's just like, vanilla.
I am not.
It's
Nope.
fantastic. You should look it up.
Okay.
Sorry, that
No, it's
would
all
have been a
good.
lot funnier had someone seen it. But
God, this is really freaking good. It doesn't
is
taste
good.
like Turkey 101 does
No.
now.
No, it definitely doesn't.
it's 14 years old. Jesus,
Yeah.
2004 is 14 years ago.
Yeah, well,
Isn't that fun?
yeah.
Ooh,
Isn't that crazy?
we're getting old.
Time's.
I was 11.
I hate time.
It was like, I don't even. How old are you?
I'm going to be 25.
I was 9.
I'll be 25 when this
9.
episode comes out.
Are we-
Right? 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're like a little bit older than me, right? Like a couple months.
Okay, you were gonna do.
kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, are we gonna do that?
Jeez, okay.
I would have been 9 and a quarter. Just kidding.
This doesn't taste like regular turkey does now.
No,
I don't
not
think.
at
It
all.
doesn't have like any of the...
Or ham.
To be honest, I enjoy it a lot better.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Yeah, this is
actually.
good.
Okay, let's jump into it. Guys, what have you been drinking recently? Because it's been a long time since I've seen either of you and figured you have stories to tell.
Pull out like a laundry list.
The scroll on sheets.
Well, I don't know what it was, but I drank a lot of bourbon and Coke at a drag show.
Ah,
My first
okay.
ever drag show.
At the place in Lexington?
Yes.
Nice. That's a lot of fun. I like going there, actually.
Drag shows are really, really fun. My favorite drag queen from this most recent season, Miss Cracker, was there, and I was so excited. And got a picture with her, and she was very sweet. But yeah, that was the most recent drinking exploit I had, was at a drag show, and it was very, very fun. And then they had a '90s party downstairs afterwards, so that was great.
want to know a fun fact?
Yes.
I think I've told you this before, but I know who Trixie Mattel is.
Yes, you've told
We've
me
talked
that
about
story.
this on the
Yeah,
show.
I thought
actually.
so. I
It
thought
happened
No.
here is where I
Yeah,
found
yeah,
out.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I thought. All right.
Exactly. Anyway,
Go on,
Curtis.
further.
Curtis, what do you, is there anything else? It's just bourbon and Coke?
I don't know. Let me think. I just wanted to share the drag show thing.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Curtis. I gotta think about.
I've had Wathans, which
Okay.
was very
Yeah.
good. I have also had. What else have I had? Weller Special Reserve, Weller 12-year.
Yeah.
Just been
Weller
good.
heavy.
Yeah, just Weller heavy.
Well, we're actually going to review the 107
Gotcha.
today because we've now done the 12, the Special Reserve, and we need to round it out.
That's
with
awesome
the-
because I haven't had
the
107 in a while.
Yeah.
1792 full proof. It was just a store
wow.
pick.
Somebody's drinking 1792.
Wait a minute.
1792.
I also had 1792.
There was another one, but I can't remember what it was. So that's not going to help you any.
No, not
I
at all.
recently bought, for the first time in about a year, my most recent bottle of Bullet.
Oh, really?
And I'm
Yeah.
very glad to be back on the Bullet train.
Yeah.
Get it? Bullet train?
Yeah.
I'm leaving now.
You've hit
Thank
your
you for
one
that.
joke maximum
That's it.
for the
It was
for
my
the
one
show.
joke.
I was talking recently about how like I still like Bullet, but I just don't drink it as much as I used to. Like if I go for a high rye bourbon, I'd rather actually go for Wild Turkey 101. Higher proof. I think it just has more flavor, and actually cheaper too.
Yeah.
So I mean that's why I preferred Turkey 101. But so I have to tell you guys, and this is the first time I've talked about it on the podcast about what I've been drinking recently. So last Friday, I went on a pick at Buffalo Trace for Liquor Barn. And on the way over there, Chad came with me. And on the way over there, I texted the guy from Liquor Barn and I said, so what all are we going to be picking? Because the last time I went on a pick with them was that Knob Creek pick.
Yeah.
And they only rolled out like, I think 6 barrels total for us, and we picked 2 of each. So this time, I was like, what are we going to be drinking today? What are we picking from? He goes, oh, we're going to be picking 3 Buffalo Trace barrels, 2 Wellers, and 1 Blanton's for a grand total of 18 barrels
Holy crap.
bourbon.
Wow, that's awesome.
All at cask strength. And then also proof down to what it was going to be once it was actually bottled.
Yeah.
So all in all, I had about 36 different bourbons over the span of like not even an hour.
Oh my
Wow.
Last
goodness.
Friday.
You
And
sloshed.
I could not stand up. I'll be honest.
Those last barrels
How'd you
tasted
get home?
great.
No, actually, I couldn't
Did
hardly
they have a
taste it.
designated driver?
Yeah, it was Chad.
Oh gosh.
Oh no.
Because he held up. I mean, he held up better than I did.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like part of the whole process of it is, at the end of trying everything, you go, oh, so what was better? What can we eliminate? And like I was able to hold a conversation for about the first 2 wines, and then I realized that I was offering nothing
Wow.
to the conversation. So I just sat on the Buffalo Trace barrels and I was like, whatever you guys think is
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
But anyway, so actually a little bit later on, as we're talking about neat, I wanted to pour some of this, and this is actually a collection of. It's not Old Granddad Bottled and Bond. It's a collection of a bunch of the different things that we tried that day.
Oh, cool.
So it's just
That's
it's
cool.
basically just leftover samples from that, and
Yeah.
it's technically like a 4-grain because it's got Weller, which is a wheater, and then Plantains and Buffalo
Yeah.
Trace, which both have rye in the recipe. And I don't, of course, know the proof on it or anything, but I've had it before, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's super unique. We'll drink that a little bit later down the line because I also have something else I want you guys to try too.
Okay.
Well, wait. To have
Go
this
ahead.
is going to be an anticlimactic story, but
Did you drink anything in Disney?
no, I did. I should have, but I did
Weirdest
not.
way to say that word.
I anticlimactic. How would you?
Anticlimactic? Pronounce the T.
Yeah, climactic.
This sounds like it's
Climatic.
Anna and her last name is
Climatic.
Climactic.
Yeah.
That's my drag name.
Well,
That
anyway.
was the local queen we saw.
Anyway, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
welcome to stage.
Sorry.
Miss Anna Climatic.
She just sits there.
She doesn't come out.
Or no, she brings out like a t-shirt gun, but it doesn't work.
Or, yeah,
or
just
something.
sits there. Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Sweats.
So I had the opportunity, which I didn't actually get to go, but he was having Nick
Lounge.
from Buddha Lounge
Oh, okay.
in Lexington. He's a huge bourbon guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Like knows a ton about it. Has a whole collection. He asked me if I wanted to go to on a barrel pick with him, and I was like, yeah, for sure. But then I couldn't because I was on vacation and stuff. But
you should have let me know. I would have gone for it.
I should have. I'm sorry. But yeah. So that would have been really, really cool. I'm kind of jealous I didn't get to go.
Where was he gonna go? Do you know?
Buffalo Trace.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the second time I've been to Buffalo Trace for a pick, and both times have just been fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You get to go into the warehouse where Blanton's is aged. It's the only metal warehouse on their campus. They have a little tasting room for it and everything. A lot of what I did on that last one is a little hazy because I had 36 different bourbons.
Understandable.
Right.
Sanity.
And it's funny because I wrote out like all of my notes by hand, and by the end of it, it was just like
nothing.
good, bad, terrible, would never drink this again.
Awesome.
You know, like,
yeah.
but anyway.
Very helpful. No reviews.
Okay, so our topic for the day is going to be Neat, the Story of Bourbon, which we've been talking about trying to do an episode on for like months now.
Yeah, I gotta resurrect my notes.
The last time I took notes on this was June 16th, and we're recording on August 2nd. So
Yikes.
So we'll see.
Mine were a little more recent, but it's gonna be funny
Yeah.
because it's been a little bit since I've watched it. So.
It's been about a month since I've seen
Yeah.
it. So
It's been about a couple weeks.
So for people who don't know, and I'm sure you do if you've been listening to this,
Thank you.
Neat, the Story of Bourbon is basically, I wouldn't call it a documentary so much as I would just
An
kind
ad.
Wow.
A little bit.
it is a
It's
little
not
bit.
true.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
dishonest.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
It is
And
a
I mean,
doc,
like,
though.
it does go a little bit Buffalo Trace heavy, I would say.
A little bit Castle and Key heavy too.
Well,
A little bit
okay,
Marianne heavy.
and
is how I
we'll
should
talk
phrase it.
we'll talk about that a little bit too, because that's actually an important part in the development of this movie. Marianne's heavy hand in it. Hold on
Yeah.
1 second.
I mean, I definitely get why. Like, I understand.
It was good. I'm not trashing
Yeah,
it, but
It
it's,
was a little bit of an
in the
ad.
same way that the Lego movie is a giant ad for Legos. This is just a giant ad for bourbon. That's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it, and it was
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah. good watch.
And like my first 3 notes on it are like, it's an unassuming movie. It's really welcoming, and it makes you feel like you love bourbon even if you don't.
Yeah.
Like, it just has this really comfortable quality to it.
It feels like family.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
totally does.
Which is
a
part
big
of
part
what.
of it.
Yeah, which is a big part of how they like tie it in. So I mean, it makes sense.
Definitely. I mean, again, they spend so much time talking about Freddie from
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace, who I actually
Yeah.
got to meet at Buffalo Trace.
awesome,
He's
man.
fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Love that guy. to
I actually
death.
wrote down that like I want to do a tour with this guy.
Oh, I would love
'Cause
to
he's-
too.
He's
I
really
got
good.
Yeah.
I mentioned this, but we got lucky on Father's Day. We went and we just so happened they were like, oh, and you get Freddie for a tour guide, and we were like, who's Freddie?
Yeah, exactly.
and then you meet him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this
Yeah,
guy's we got Freddie.
third generation Buffalo Trace employee. I
Yeah.
mean, knows the ins and outs of it and everything.
Yeah.
And I want to let's talk before we get into like what are some of the things we really liked about it and talk some of the negatives.
Okay.
My big thing,
I'm ready.
like my first thing up top was Steve Zahn necessary for this movie?
Absolutely. No, Steve Zahn is the best part. Are you kidding me? Okay, so
I didn't think he was necessary at all.
they were doing like this weird eccentric like we're gonna have it was very honestly to be a little bit like transparent about things. It was very Cornette the way they approached this.
Well,
Because
it was-
Cornette did some yeah.
They did the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But it was very them to do like this sort of like casual but professional kind of narration with
Yeah.
Steve Zahn, like those little interstitial cut-ins.
Yeah.
And it was well done. I thought it was well produced, and it was funny because when I watched it, I literally wrote a wild Steve Zahn appears because I didn't know he was in it.
Awesome.
But like, yeah, no, I thought that was great. I think
I thought
that
it was
fun.
good. I mean, I guess it is a little bit. I mean, it's
It just felt very shoehorned in to me.
well,
Like,
that's the
he didn't-
point.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why it was done.
Had they done it in a very serious tone, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
The fact
Yeah.
that it was sort of tongue in cheek, and he was like petting that fox that was taxidermied, like that is what made it funny.
That's about all I really have with my negatives. I love this movie.
Okay, so I have more negatives than
Yeah,
that.
that's okay. Go ahead.
I think the color grading on the movie is so weird. It's like
It's a little flat.
yeah, it's going for and the first three notes I have were negative because it comes out the gate like with this sweeping shot of like Kentucky hills
Yeah.
and stuff, and then they do this like I think it's a shot of a rick house, but there's like foca, which is like the circle lights like that indie people love.
Yeah.
And it looked so like trying to be authentic and indie that it had the complete inverse effect to me of where it was like, this looks fake as hell. Like, why are you doing color grading like it's filmed from 74? This doesn't make any sense.
I think that's fair.
I think the video approach was really weird. I thought the editing overall was amazing. I just
did
thought
too.
the color grading was really strange.
Well, and on the note of editing, like, Paul Steele, we'll talk about specifically for a second. He was the founder and owner-operator of...
This is the Nashville guy, yeah?
Yeah, Steel Speakeasy. I didn't notice until this last time I watched it, like my third or fourth time having seen the movie. I didn't know or notice that they filmed him on 2 separate days going into the liquor store.
Oh, has he changed clothes?
He does, yeah. He has a completely different outfit on from day to day. And, I mean, that's just the quality of how good that editing is.
Yeah, no,
that,
the
you know,
production quality was amazing.
Yeah,
I was very impressed with that.
It took a long time for me to actually realize that, that happened. Anyway, more negatives.
Uh,
I really want to get the negatives out of the way first because,
What-
like, I have so many good things to say about this movie.
I am notoriously critical, so sorry if this sounds
That's okay,
like
that's
super
okay.
critical. Because overall, I really enjoyed watching it. It is a little bit... Can I curse on this show?
No, of course you can.
Okay, so I wrote in my notes, quote, "These people want to fuck this liquid." Because it is very masturbatory. Like, to the point, there was one time, one line in the doc pretty early on where they're like, this liquid will hold up to anything like a good human or something like that. I was like, are y'all...
Yeah, what
y'all
are you
want to
doing?
do this liquid? Like, I understand there's a culture behind it. Obviously, I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't. But it's a little weird sometimes. Like, it gets a little bit like religious zealot-y.
I think that's
in a couple of ways.
I think that's fair.
Which granted, if you do a doc about any sort of subculture, that's probably going to come through, right? Like, it's going to sound like toy collectors want to bone their toys too.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. But that's
But
just
still,
a
there
general
is a
critique
point
of the genre.
There is a point to where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, it was very, very strange.
Kurt, did you have what negatives did you have, if any?
I mean,
Echoing the same thing.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. I thought the Steve Zahn was like, huh?
I loved it.
Okay. I thought it worked well. I just don't know if it was necessary.
Steve Zahn was the perfect pick for me because he's like just enough of celebrity, and I know he's a Kentuckian to like be
Right.
like, oh hey, it's Steve Zahn.
Steve
Instead of
Zahn's
like,
in there.
they got Steve Zahn. It's like, no,
Yeah.
Steve Zahn was probably
that
down
would
for
be
this.
that would be like if they got George
George
Clooney,
Clooney.
or
I was
Johnny,
gonna say
or
the
Johnny
same thing.
Depp.
I was gonna
Right.
say the same.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's talk. I mean, I kind of took my notes chronologically
Mine too.
more than anything.
Yeah, mine were too.
as opposed to like positive negatives. But like all the negative things that I've had to say, I've already gone through. So
I will say Don Holcomb sounded like he had a cold, but that may just be his voice. He sounded like he had a cold the whole time.
I said that I love that it's less documentary and more like why this matters and is important to Kentucky, and it made me really appreciate too some of the ambiguity that is explored in bourbon's history. And Steve Zahn, I think, talks about that a little bit in one of his little asides, where he's like, well, maybe it was Elijah Craig that found it, or maybe it was the first guy, in the fish barrels or
The
whatever.
dude whose barn burned down. And barrels were charred.
Exactly. But and like at the end of it, he says maybe it doesn't really matter. Bourbon found a way. Like that just that resonated so well with me, and I think that it is a true testament to how important this is to our state, our Commonwealth. That it has stood the test of time, and people have wanted to put these things in place for it to be so well taken care of and so important.
Yeah, at one point, I forget who it was, but someone mentioned that, like, for the moment that you drink, it might have been the dude from Nashville, but the moment you drink bourbon, it's like you're in Central Kentucky, no matter if you're from Central Kentucky or have never been there.
Right.
Like, you have a taste of Central Kentucky for a split second
Yeah.
of what it's like to live there. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. That's a cool worldview.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just on the note of Kentucky, I had just one line that said, how freaking beautiful is Kentucky? I mean, they got just some gorgeous shots of the state.
Yeah.
I thought about when I was a kid, I went to tour where my mom works. She still works as in a factory. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was so cool because I'd never been to a factory. And she was like, well, this is what I see every day. I can't see it as cool anymore. And I kind of thought that with some of the farm shots because, like, I grew up helping, like, my papa out on the farm and just, like, being around farms and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was just like it was cool to see it from this lens. But at the same time, I was like, I'm probably not appreciating this as much as someone from, like, Chicago who's never seen the rolling hills of Kentucky.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate, too, like, just that...
I'm spoiled by it.
Well, yeah, that we're spoiled by it. But also the fact that a lot of people they only think of the people from Kentucky.
Right.
They're like, oh, red. Like, I'm from Ohio, and all my friends are like, you live in Kentucky? I'm like, you've never even been here, first off? And, like, it's a beautiful state and has, like, great people in it, way better than Ohio. And, like, I don't understand why you get to... and that's also kind of a worldview, I think, of Kentucky, too.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people look down upon it.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
So before we got too much further into it, I wanted to talk about what we're actually drinking. And this is another one that's in an Old Granddad bottle. It's Old Granddad 114 bottle, but it's not actually
Perry's Scooby-Dooing us
Old
today.
Granddad.
Yeah. And I'm just pounding over here. Like, I'm just drinking all of it really, really quick.
Yeah, you're going for it.
We also have chicken tenders that Lucy brought in for
That are
us.
fantastic.
From Walmart.
I don't care. They're great.
What do you guys think about this? Try it. Really drink this and think about it and try it. I want to get your honest opinions on it.
It's going to be like Perry's own bourbon.
You're not too far off.
Oh, good.
I did a blend.
Oh, cool.
It's a blend of 3 different things, which Chad and Sarah have tried on the show before, but I wanted to see what you guys honestly thought about it. You need to drink some water so that the chicken nugget, chicken tender flavor doesn't get in the way. Tanner had that look like, maybe I should do the same.
Maybe I should also get rid of the chicken tender. Never. Always a bad move. Never get rid of the chicken tender.
Always keep the chicken.
So this was a result for me of like actually...
It smells very maple syrupy.
And actually tastes kind of mapley.
It does.
Too. I did
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of an experimentation with it. Jumping around between a couple of different
It is very sweet.
bourbons. Yeah. Well, it's a wheat blend. It's got Maker's Cask, Weller Special Reserve, and then Old Fitz Bottled and Bond. So it rounds out somewhere around like 100 to 101 proof. Excuse me.
I enjoy it. I think
It's good. I would drink it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting like the cask, the Maker's Cask.
Some of the
thing.
heat on
It's
it.
got it's got a satisfying
Toward the
burn.
end.
It's not bad as someone who's not like, I love burn.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of comforting.
almost that Kentucky hug, like
Yeah,
towards
it goes-
the end.
it
as
just sits.
Yeah,
in the
it's really
finish.
sweet at
Yeah,
the beginning,
exactly.
and then
Yeah.
towards the finish, then
The
it's
bourbon
like,
version
okay,
of a
there it
hot
is.
tamale.
It's like, well, I think that's fair. I was gonna say it's like a lot of caramel competing with that maple syrup, and I think like if there's anything that is a downfall to it, that would be it. Is that like there are some sweet flavors to it that
Yeah, I mean that's what I would say is like, is
maybe
it
a little too
too
sweet?
sweet?
Sure,
Sure,
I'll keep messing
but
around
it's
with
not
it a little bit more.
But it's also not to the point where I'm like, oh, it's
Right.
too sweet.
right.
I enjoy it. I think it's good. Going from the sweet to the
Yeah,
heat.
no, I like it.
Sweet to heat.
Yeah, sweet to heat.
It's cinnamon-esque.
Yeah,
Oh.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Mhm.
I figured I'd blind you with something that's different. Anyway, let's jump back into the movie.
Yeah.
My next, we already talked about him a little bit, but my next note was about Freddie Johnson.
Yes,
And like just
that's all you have to say. Yes,
Freddie Johnson. Yeah. Have you ever
Good.
tried his tasting?
Chris Jackson. Yes, good.
Yes, good. 84. Very local joke.
Anyway, have you ever tried his tasting method? It was that thing where he
No, that was so
Poured a little
interesting
bit-
to me. That was the
it-
most fascinating thing I think I've seen.
it works with bourbon. It doesn't just have to be White Dog. It's really incredible. But I'm sure he did that with you when
He
you
did
were
it,
on his
yeah.
tour. Yeah.
He did it while we were on the tour.
It's like one of his
the coolest thing. Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah, it's like a magic trick almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the
like
coolest
it
things.
shouldn't
in
surprise
the
you.
doc. Yeah.
It shouldn't surprise you at all.
No.
But yet again, you're like, wow, yes.
And it's put so simply that that's what makes part of the appeal of it. It's just like, well, I can just wait and then shake my hands around, then I can get this.
Yeah,
Like,
and I can,
it's
like-
really cool.
Yeah,
And the
it
way,
is.
and he does it so well. You can tell he's done it for years and years on
1,000
yeah.
times over.
because it's just like
Like, even when he's-
a routine.
Yeah, it's
like
such a
when I say
routine.
Hillshire, you say farm, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
Yeah.
you've had this joke canned for 30 years. It's like when you go
Yeah.
to Mammoth Cave and they're like, when a stalactite meets a stalagmite, it's called a pillar. But in Kentucky, we sleep on our pillars. And I was like, how many freaking times have you said that joke?
yeah.
Because it's just so canned. Same kind of thing, but
Whoa.
much better production quality.
Hey, we just got a new $2 patron.
Hey,
Hey, shout out to Brett Middendorf for
Hi,
being,
Brett.
being a new
Thanks,
patron of
Brett.
the show. Awesome. Sorry, that was very
live and in color.
very in media res of us, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh well, that's awesome. We also talked a little bit about Paul Steele, but I really wanted specifically to give a shout out, and I just talked about him too. Chris Thomas, the founder, owner, operator of Made South, and Will Haynes, who is one of the hosts of the podcast. They actually make a little cameo in the Steele Speakeasy.
Oh, nice.
It like pans over to them, and Chris is like being told a joke or something, and he gives this like really fake laugh, and Will's just sitting there like, okay. Anyway, I already talked about different shirts, different days at the liquor store. And my next note. So you guys remember the little scene with the guy from Inoteca, who looks like
where he's
Elon Musk?
I'm Elon Musk, and I'm here to. Yeah.
Which R.I.P.
Elon, or not Elon Musk. No, Inoteca is closed.
Inoteca.
I was
Yeah.
like, Elon Musk died.
Surprise!
He's in space
What
now.
happened? Grimes hasn't said anything.
What does Grimes know about it? Has anyone asked Grimes where she was?
No, he took that submarine down to try to get the boys, and it
That's
didn't work. Anyway, no, it's such a shame that Inoteca is closed
I
because
know.
it came out like this
Another
movie.
local reference. Sorry.
Yeah, but this movie came out after Inoteca closed.
Oh no! So people could
So-
see how like personable
Yeah,
he was,
exactly.
and they couldn't go there. Oh man! Yeah, because of the bartenders, he came across the most personable.
I don't remember what this is from, or who brought this up. But I had this note that said, "Have you ever heard the phrase death drink before?" It was that thing where
Oh,
they
it
gave
was-
somebody who's been dead for a week or something.
Yeah, that was Freddie said that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I'd never heard that phrase before.
No, he was like, yeah, that's why they say if you've been dead less than 2 weeks, it'll bring you back to life. Talking about the white dog.
Yeah.
And then there was the
Oh,
other. There
that's
was
right.
there was the other thing
Okay.
where they called it a gut drink, which I'd never heard.
I hadn't heard that either.
That was when they were talking about the. I think they call it like the rectifier era, where people were putting like the tobacco spit and stuff into.
Oh,
neutral
before
grain
bourbon
spirits.
was regulated.
Yes.
Regulated, yeah.
And then we're like, that's why it was called a gut drink, because it would like kill you, because it was so unregulated and terrible. I thought that was maybe my most like fascinated part of the doc, was just like that whole section talking about before it got regulated, and then finding out that that was the first regulation on any advertising
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's so cool to me.
Yeah.
That like it was on bourbon.
Well, that leads actually into my next point, which is actually about E.H. Taylor. who was the guy that helped get the Bottled and Bond Act passed in the United States Congress. And to me, like, I think he single-handedly saved bourbon. And, like, we owe a lot to him, you know, for regulating all of that and having something that we can actually drink today and not have to worry about whether or not there is, like, shoe shine in there or something awful. Anyway, it's
just like how, you know, moonshine sort of as well.
Right.
Not to that extent, but...
Not quite, no. There were a bunch of bourbon brands I'd never heard of before. Old Jim Gore, Green River, Old Mork.
Well,
there's
if you
just
go
like
to
a bunch
Buffalo
of stuff.
Trace, they have that whole list of...
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
like all the
interesting.
distilleries that had closed or been
or
shut
still
down.
open,
Yeah. And speaking of portions that like I really, really, really freaking enjoyed, that archaeology part. It was like, holy crap, 110-year-old piece of corn.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be
That
getting
was
that
so
excited
weird.
over it. But like they go like, yeah, here's the divot in it and everything. I was like, oh, it's gonna, you know, be like a piece of char or something.
I thought
But it was corn that was, you know, for whatever reason, it survived all that time. I was like, what the heck, man?
That's so
Yeah.
I love the non-glamorous side of bourbon. I love the diligence and the passion that goes into it. There was a lot of that included. Did you guys know about the Four Roses recipes? That there are 10 different recipes.
No,
for
I didn't know
idea.
the 5 different yeast strains and the 2 different actual recipes. And for anybody who doesn't know, I'm actually going to include a link below about that. This next quote, that's the legacy we leave for the next generation. And like to me, that's what signified like how transcendent bourbon is.
Oh yeah, I was talking about like how by the time you get to most people don't see their third batch.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so cool.
Yeah, and like it doesn't have to start or stop with one person. Like it's in a constant
Continuous.
fugue state.
Sure.
Like it's always evolving, and I think that's really evidently seen. No, it's really evident in the fact that like there are still new distilleries cropping up all over the place, and like everybody's always trying to change their recipes or find new ways of changing their flavors and everything.
Which is something I really like admire about it is that there are so many different distilleries coming up and like trying to do their own thing.
Yeah.
I will say that some of the like bourbon drinkers that have been drinking bourbon for a long time, it seems like they're always like, oh, I don't want to try that. I mean, I wouldn't say all of them. I don't want to put them all in one category.
Sure.
But some of them
I know
are
what
like,
you're saying, though.
oh, just stick with, what's the tradition, the
classics.
past. Yeah, stick with the classics. Like, that's what's going to be good bourbon. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. Like, for the most part, I will agree. But,
Sure.
like, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just like Wilderness Trail,
Wilderness Trail.
Yeah, it's like they're putting out some, like, fire stuff. It's so good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I just think we should be a little lenient on some of the newer distilleries putting
for
out
sure.
some things. But I was really intrigued and liked how this is more at the midway, but when they were talking about the field and like the specific grains and the specific farms that I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and I like too that they know where everything comes from. Unless it's a place that uses sourced bourbon or sourced ingredients or whatever. That, the people who really are taking that extra step and can afford to take that extra step do so with such like passion behind it.
For sure.
Hey, clean out your first glasses because I want you guys to try the Buffalo Trace. It's apparently called a suicide.
Oh, good.
I wanted you guys to try the suicide.
I mean, that makes
from
sense.
last week. Sure. Anyway, I wanted you to try it all in the Glencairn glass. And I that scene too, where they're talking about each generation, that leads into the next scene, which really blew my mind, which was all of the master distillers all
yeah.
together in that one room. And especially like Jimmy Russell, who is basically the oldest master distiller out there right now, over at Wild Turkey, and then Marianne Barnes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just the coolest thing in the world to see them together. And then at the end, too, you know, when they have all of them together in the same room and all that. Which glass was it this one?
That one.
Okay. Is your glass clean there, Tanner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good deal. Let's see what else. Oh, side note is what I wrote. What happens with those bottles in the Buffalo Trace cabinets? You know, behind, like, up in the tasting.
Yeah.
Have you been to Buffalo Trace yet, Tanner?
No.
Okay, so upstairs in their tasting space. Sorry, dude. Do you need to switch?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
like wide-eyed about the amount. I was wide-eyed about
Oh,
just
okay.
like
What
the
you're
color.
getting ready to try?
Well, yeah, and the color.
Oh, the color's gorgeous. Anyway, so upstairs in their tasting area, they have like old bottles, and even not old bottles, but like semi-relevant and new bottles hanging around up there.
Yeah.
Like the antique collection from past few years is up there, and then other bottles of Weller and old Elmer T. Lee and all this stuff. And like, what
Sure.
happens to those bottles? Do they stay there forever?
Can someone drink those?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Do they get auctioned off? Or
I'm not sure how they would do that. I also
don't
wonder
either,
if
but-
it's for show a little bit too.
Yeah. Also, one of my dad's friends is actually in the tasting scene.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah, Dottie. She's hanging out with Freddie and
Oh yeah,
all of that.
he hollers Dottie.
He
at one
does.
point.
Yeah,
And then,
he calls her out.
The dude from the one coffee place in Lexington. What is his name? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
He's like front and center. They show him a bunch of times.
Seth?
No, not Saul.
No.
What is his name?
Seth's from Bourbon Review. Sorry.
It starts with an S, I think. Oh, it's gonna bug me.
Sam, Steven,
No, I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead.
Sean. Sean with an H.
Go. Just keep going. I'll find it.
Okay. And before we get into this, I want to say, like, my next favorite quote in it was, "The right way to drink bourbon is just the way you like it." I love that.
Yeah,
that's
it
really
makes-
nice.
It just makes me happy that even still, there are people who are like, and I mean, we talk about it on the show too. It's like, just as long as you're drinking bourbon and you're enjoying it, it doesn't really matter
I agree.
how you're doing it. And for that to come from Freddie as well, I was like, okay, great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Sal Sanchez is his name.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's
From A Cup of Commonwealth.
yeah, and
Chocolate Holler is the other one.
yeah, chocolate holler.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this here suicide bottle. It's a little hot on the nose, I would say. But
Yeah, singeing a little hairs. I do love that it was some fancy title for brand ambassador. The chick with all the tattoos. I don't remember names.
Oh,
sorry.
from Brown Foreman.
Yes.
I think I talked about her at some point.
But I do love the thing that she was like, "Don't just breathe in with your nose; you're gonna singe your nose off."
Yeah.
And I was like, that's- she was very good at her job as
maybe I
being an advocate for bourbon.
I think what she does is great. I'm not crazy about her palate because she is the deciding factor for like the Old Forester birthday bourbons and a lot of the new things that come from Woodford Reserve and that kind of stuff. So I mean, you like?
Yeah, I do.
haven't even tried it yet.
That's interesting. It's like I think combining all the things sort of mellowed it out a little bit in a way I didn't expect.
My dad put it when he tried it last week. He goes, "It's like there's something of everything
Yeah,
in it."
it's like a bouquet.
Yeah.
It is like a bouquet. I don't know how to take
it's so
it.
good.
I don't know.
It's very interesting. It's incredibly unique.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's incredibly unique, and I'm like straddling, like, do I love it or do I hate it?
Yeah, it's
Like,
Really?
polarizing. I get that.
What would you hate about it?
just that it seems like it does mellow it out, but it also has like it's like fighting each other a little bit.
I think that's fair.
Like it feels like all of them are just like, no, I'm the prominent one. No, I'm the prominent one. Like no.
Yeah,
I really enjoy that personally. I mean, I love that
it's like
there's
fireworks in your mouth.
I love that there's so many different things going on and that you can kind of pinpoint where the Weller is and where the Blanton's is, and the Buffalo Trace too.
Yeah. I guess I can appreciate that.
If you don't like it, it's okay. I completely understand.
I get it. I mean,
I get it.
I enjoy it.
I understand what you're talking about. Like, oh, you can pinpoint that.
Sure.
But I'm also like, huh?
Well, that's fair. Oh, okay. So I did actually talk about the girl from Old Forester. Her title was Master Specialist.
Yeah, because
It's so weird. To me, it sounds like she gave herself that title.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, is this just fancy brand ambassador? Because that's what it read like in the doc.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was in charge of picks and stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, it seemed like, because I know there are brand ambassadors for bourbons that just like go out to a bar and say like, well, why don't you try this product of ours and stuff like that.
No,
so,
she's not that. She is much more behind the scenes.
Yeah, I didn't expect
in that manner.
And you said she does what?
So she is. She's not the final say, but she is like the master. I think she actually has the title of like master taster too, or something like that. So most of her opinion is what goes into things like Old Forester Birthday Bourbon gets picked from, or the new, Woodford expressions like the master. Yeah. And not that Chris Morris over at Woodford Reserve doesn't, have a lot of that too, but she's more Brown Forman, whereas Chris is specifically Woodford.
Okay.
And I don't know if I totally trust her palate based on past experience. Like, that's just me. Like, and I have, older Old Forester expressions too that I've really liked, pre her being there.
That's interesting. You would think it would be like sort of a committee deal, which maybe it is. I mean, I don't want to like go too hard.
Sure.
Because I don't know what that job title or...
Right.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure there's probably a committee of some sort.
Yeah. The next thing I want to point out is the bartender that she's talking to says he thinks that bourbon tops out at 12 years old, like in terms of quality. Do you agree with that? It's like, I don't think I do. Like, I've had older bourbons that have been really good, and like eventually it does become too like oak heavy and everything, but I don't think that 12 years is like and it's a conversation we can have forever and ever and ever and ever about what aging time is the best for bourbon.
If you like oak a lot better,
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think I agree with that.
For me, I think like
bourbon's a case by case basis. For me. Doesn't really matter how long it's been aged.
I agree. I would say like in general, I would say like 20 years is probably where I'm like, okay.
Anything over that's great.
Sure.
Anything over that, so it's like, okay, it's gonna be like 20 though.
Yeah.
They start talking too at one point about like all the bourbon that was kind of wasted in the 60s, or like just didn't get drank as much. I really want to know what that bourbon was like.
Yeah.
Like, I've had old stuff before, but it just makes me wonder, what was it? What was it like?
Yeah.
And to that point too, do you guys feel like that section was taking a shot at the 60s culture? Or was it just kind of being frank about that era? Because it seemed like it did have a bit of a negative tone about the counterculture, I guess. Quote unquote counterculture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see from the fact that bourbon as a subculture has so much love for tradition and history, I could see how that bump in the road to them would almost seem just out of place. Yeah. And so I understand the tone. To be frankly honest, I don't remember much about the tone of that specific section.
Sure.
But I do remember them touching on it, but I don't remember exactly how they did it. But I get where this sort of culture that is all about preserving legacy and, all that could see that as just sort of a bump in the road.
Yeah. It just...
Yeah, but it's like also you could see it as a bump in the road, but also like a step into like growing into what it is. Like,
sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like...
I think you have to... I mean... There's two sides of the spectrum on what you're going to be thinking on.
Of course.
But it's also like, if this doesn't happen, then how can we say that it's what bourbon's going to be?
Sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course. of course. And then the next scene is with Freddie.
Oh,
And
it's
it just makes me cry every
It's-
single time.
I teared up watching it. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know I was gonna cry in this bourbon.
I know. I think I have that
Thought
note
I would
somewhere in
learn.
here
It's
too.
you can tell he's told that story before
Yeah.
because it is so well paced,
Mm-hmm.
and just the hammer he drops at the end with a smile, like it's just like, and then that,
And that's
it's just
just
like,
how.
oh my god,
And then he says,
kills you.
when you're tasting really good bourbon, you just let it linger on your palate. You appreciate how it got there. It's not just the grains and the piece of wood; it's the care that makes it taste like it does.
Yeah.
And I said specifically, that's why bourbon is so important to me. Like, it's not just the fact that it's something to enjoy; it is a craft that somebody has put so much time into,
Right.
Yeah.
and has perfected over, centuries at this point.
You're drinking someone's really hard work.
Exactly.
Their legacy almost.
Has
Exactly,
perfected
yeah.
and built upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to that point too, like, we don't realize how important the barrel itself is until we start talking about like where the flavor comes from. And I don't know if you caught, and this is kind of an aside, but also ties into the flavors of it as well. I don't know if y'all caught it or not, but they were talking specifically about Cooper's Craft, which is a Brown-Forman product, and they toast their barrels before they char them. So instead of just building the barrel and then charring it, they throw another little wrench into the whole game.
Yeah.
To provide some. Anyway, I just thought that was,
Yeah.
And
this is totally off, but like Maker's Mark, how they have the different staves, I think that's so cool.
yeah, for sure.
That's so cool.
Absolutely.
Especially like if you're a company or a business or liquor store that like gets to pick, which stave goes in what. Like they have multiple things.
Yeah.
That's such a cool thing. I mean, I know it's a marketing thing, but it's also like it's
smart.
really it's smart and it's making it unique.
I will say one other tiny critique I had that I don't think I wrote in my notes, but I'm thinking about it now. I thought it was very well edited. I thought the length of it was perfect. I think one thing they maybe could have cut was the bourbon furniture guy. It was interesting, but I didn't think it contributed to the documentary.
Well, that was actually my next point.
I
Okay.
totally forgot about that, but
Yeah.
Well,
it's
it is
just such a weird aside.
And I think it is, unfortunately, like the most forgettable part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was kind of cool, though.
It was cool. No,
Like-
it's definitely cool. I just don't know
Out
if
of
it.
place.
Yeah, I don't know if it helps the whole story of bourbon tagline.
Well, I think what you have to think about with that is that it provides this argument, or enhances this argument, that bourbon is not permanent. Like it's constantly changing, and the things that go into it are constantly changing. But also, how are barrel heads made?
How are barrel heads made?
Yeah, like the things that go on the top of the barrels to
Yeah.
keep all the. I don't understand how those are made. Like
don't
they
think I do
do
either.
they have to, because and I know this from experience. Like if you're putting a barrel together so that it won't fall apart,
Yeah.
you have to not only like keep it together on the back, but you also have to put like wood glue in between.
Yeah.
So is it just kind of sitting like in suspension on top or the bottom
I
of the
see what you're
barrel?
asking. I don't know.
Like
I have no idea.
I don't, because you can't put wood glue on it. It would seep into the bourbon, and then it would be.
Sure.
And
Does
I just,
the ring not keep it in place?
I
Is it
guess,
like a
I guess so.
Titan
I don't
sort of
know.
thing?
ring
I don't
or-
know. I have no idea. That's the thing is, I just
Probably
don't
the-
know how it.
Suction and pressure.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that maybe could have made, if you want to do the argument of like, this is how bourbon, because I took it a little bit differently than you did. I took it as like, this is how much it even has like a secondary and tertiary economy based on
Yeah,
bourbon.
totally.
I think you could have done that better by showing like bourbon barrel ales or the people who
Yeah.
age like maple
Okay.
syrup or
Yes.
soy sauce. I think you
Yes.
mentioned
That's fair.
Exactly.
something
That's
like
fair.
that. I think that could be more
Not
relatable
furniture.
and sort of back to what the point was.
Yeah, I
Again, what that guy does is really cool. He has a cool little story. I just didn't know if it felt right with the rest of the pace of everything.
I agree.
We're getting kind of towards the end. The one thing I wanted to, this is just I thought was so cool, but the Japanese old fashioned segment where the
Oh,
Japanese
yeah.
bartender like uses two different bourbons and everything, and it's like just the way he moves was so elegant.
He had
And
great
I-
hair.
He did.
I remember that. He had really cool hair.
Just a great like fashion sense about him too. One of the coolest things I thought too was they start talking about how bourbon started experiencing a revival in the 80s.
Sorry, I just
Okay.
wanted to, that's wild too. Just the connection between bourbon and like China and like Japanese culture.
Yeah. Like it's
I
not
mean,
just an American thing. It's not just a United States thing.
I just love the connection between that because they're so into like bourbon and whiskey and like that culture.
Yeah. Totally.
It's crazy that how does that happen?
Yeah.
Like going from Kentucky all the way over.
And like I mean, when you really think about it, like
and I guess that's where you start too.
Sure, and I mean like that all relied on somebody's word of mouth.
Sure.
You know, I mean it took people like Eddie Russell going over to these foreign markets and going, we have this product that I really think you're going to like. You know, you have to try it. You have to get used to it and everything. But give it time and it will be, you know, it will come around to you.
And if you go back, like really, I mean, that's start too.
No, and that was kind of my next point that I was going to make as well as like talking about the 80s. And when it started to experience this resurgence, and it seemed to me, and correct me if I'm wrong in feeling this way, but it seemed to me like every single one of these master distillers decided to re-promote their product independently of one another.
Yeah, it was very much like Tesla and Edison sort of thing, whereas like everybody's working on the same thing independent of each other.
Yeah.
I just can't. It blows my mind that they were all able to work so well independently of one another, and then it coalesced into this. I mean, great market, and you know, we're in the bourbon boom right now.
Right. Yeah.
I like this line: "Authentic is cool."
Yeah, I mean it is legitimately.
Yeah.
That's like one of the biggest things right now. I will say that the Steele guy, I think the dude from Nashville,
Paul Steele. Yeah.
he had. I'm terrible with names. He had a bartender, like the Nashville's top bartender, whatever.
Right.
And the only thing I want to say about this, brown aprons ride the line so flawlessly of looking cool and also like the most pretentious thing you've ever seen. Like, I never know which to decide on that matter, but like he looked cool and sometimes like, you indie asshole. Like you're just wearing this because you think it looks cool. Like it's not helping you at all. Just wear a normal apron. Anyway,
that's fair.
you're a bartender. You don't even need an apron.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Get a little bit of bourbon on your
party?
suit?
Yeah, why not?
That party that was in that person's basement.
That's the speakeasy. That's the Steel Speakeasy.
That was odd.
Oh, really? You
well.
think so?
No,
everybody was way
it
too
was
dressed
cool.
up. I thought.
It was just a little
I think
odd.
they were too, but
I wouldn't want to wear a vest and tie to like my buddies get together.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I still.
It was really cool.
I mean,
I just thought
I would
was
take
like,
it as
wow.
like a dressing up a little bit more, just not like it's not a Sunday best to the nines kind of
Yeah. Well, and then, like
deal.
his wife, who I assumed was his wife or his partner,
His wife, yeah.
because she was like cutting up the oranges or whatever. She had like a very like flapper-esque outfit, and like her hair was gelled like a flapper. I was like, okay, is this a costume party, or is this like you're all dressing up to the nines? I'm very confused about what the invitation
And
said.
I mean, I can't
Is
remember
this the
for
20s, like
I can't remember for sure whether or not it's
Great
like
Gatsby party,
like
or?
theme night or anything
Yeah,
either.
Yeah,
but
I'm
it
I,
looked cool.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it was.
yeah.
It was just a little over the top for me.
I have to say too, I really hope that like that we still have a good supply of bourbon even when the boom ends.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it made me feel like it's
you're
an
already-
impermanent.
You're already feeling it.
Yeah.
Like Henry McKenna, you can't find that thing anywhere anymore.
I found it today for $45, which is $15 above retail.
It's ridiculous.
I can't do it. It's a $30
It makes
bourbon
me
to
so sad.
No, I mean it really does make me sad too, and I just, you know, even if it's not the same distilleries that we know and love, you know, I hope that something good comes post the bourbon boom, and I mean we'll see. We're sitting in 2018 talking about it. I think the bourbon boom is still a good 5 years away from
maybe
being over. 3 to 5. I'll give it a little bit of leeway, but anyway. That's about it. The only other thing I had to say was just this last quote. I think it was the quote that ended the whole movie. I think it was Freddie saying, "Never save old bottles of bourbon. They're meant to be enjoyed with friends and family at the moment. It's not about the whiskey. It's about the lives you touch and the people you meet. And the whiskey's a byproduct of a good relationship."
Yeah.
And I was like, that's, you know, why we do this kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the perfect total end.
Yeah.
That whole story was.
And
that
it-
was well done.
And it like reaffirmed, why I do the podcast
Sure.
and everything. And I mean, it's never been about, trying to be better than somebody else. It's never been about, trying to one up somebody on their knowledge or their experience or anything. It's just been about talking and having a good time.
Sure.
And, all that. So anyway.
Talking and having the bourbon and informing people as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would recommend this movie to people. Would you guys?
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
100%.
And honestly, it is such an easy watch because it's only like an hour 15 or something,
Yeah.
which is perfect.
Yeah,
That is
I
the
agree.
perfect length for this.
I don't think it feels like it's an hour and 15 minutes long.
No, and I think that's why I went back. I was like, how long was that? Because it felt short, which is what I want. Like, it wasn't like an unsatisfying short. It
Sure.
was just like, wow, that felt like that went by really quickly.
I mean, I did kind of wish that it went on just a little bit longer.
Yeah,
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, I thought that it was a very satisfying
it doesn't linger anywhere,
movie
which is
overall.
nice.
Yeah.
The pacing is really good.
And I'll say I got drunk during watching this, though.
Like the second time I did.
Lots of bourbon.
Like, I love this thing you're talking about.
This
Yeah.
is great.
I watched it sober.
Drinking it right now.
Well, I watched it. I'll tell you, the last time I watched it was after a really bad day because my car broke down on I-75
Oh, no.
coming back to Richmond. And I spent like an hour on the highway waiting for AAA to come and pick me up and tow my car. So I was like, you know what? Sounds great. Just watching neat and drinking bourbon and
Nice.
everything. But anyway. Okay, so that does it for our conversation on neat. We are going to now move into our review for the episode, which is of Weller 107, which I'm pretty excited about. I know.
Yes.
Have you had 107 yet?
I've not.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
You've
Curtis.
had 12 year, right?
Yeah, I've had.
Yeah,
I've had
we
all
had
the
it
other
on the
Willow
show.
products, just
Yes.
not this one.
well, we didn't have it on the show with Tanner.
And I agree.
I've had Willow 12.
Yeah. Here's
But
the
a family friend at the lake.
I
has it
agree
all the
with
time.
Swan. I think Antique 107. I don't know if he's told you this.
You okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
did I look weird?
Yeah, you gave a look like I don't know about this.
No, I'm totally good. Sorry, that was
No.
not intentional
Okay,
at all.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
This is me zoning out listening.
I will say that Swan. I don't know if he's told you this, but I was texting him the other day, and he was like, I was like, "Oh yeah, Weller 12," and he was like, "Yeah, to be honest, I enjoy Antique 107 better, and I give the Weller 12 to Perry." And I was like, "Really?"
I mean,
And to be honest, I think I agree.
yeah.
107's really good.
I mean, I love it too.
I
and
love
we're gonna
12 year, and this is like choosing hairs, but like,
choosing hairs.
what is it?
I like
Picking
splitting hairs.
Or splitting,
splitting
hairs.
hairs.
Splitting
It's like, yeah.
I like
messed it
this
up
hair
too.
better.
It's like splitting hairs, but I think I like 107 better than 12 year.
Well, we're gonna find out how you
find
really
out.
feel, and we will actually compare your score from
Oh,
the Weller
shoot.
12. So
Shouldn't have said that.
sucks to suck, bud.
Take that back.
So as I said too, we are there. Just hang back a little bit. As I said too, we are recording this for the first time for this review. So if you would like to go and check that out, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. And this is actually going to be available from $2 and up on Patreon. So if you would like to get a shot of this and Tanner dancing,
Yeah.
you can become a $2 patron of the show.
For those listening to the audio medium, I will say Perry and Curtis are wearing the exact same outfit.
Yes.
And it was very trippy because I thought I missed a memo.
No,
So-
just happened. I was wearing a different shirt earlier today, and I decided that I was going to change it up. So,
I was as well. And I
And
said,
you both went with
switch
that.
it up.
well,
All right.
meant to be, I guess.
Switch it up. Let's go with
Nobody's
this.
gonna have my watermelon
With the
shirt,
plain
so-
black tee.
Yeah. Oof.
Wow.
Big fashion risk.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a rebel, but that's just me.
Okay.
That sounded like a song lyric for some reason. I didn't mean
it was
for
your,
it to.
your SoundCloud intro.
SoundCloud.
Okay,
that's
so we are reviewing Weller 107. And Tanner has never had this before.
That's true. Shocker
And-
to no one because I've never had any of the bourbons we have.
And for anybody who needs a refresher or maybe a first-time listener, we have a review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5. And then,
What was the nipple piercing thing?
never pull fleshy piercings. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
That was
I hate
Chad.
it.
Oh,
Chad came up with
Chad,
that.
I hate you for that.
Yeah. I cringe
So
every
bad.
time I
No,
hear
I do
it.
too. It's
I
awful.
always forget it.
So each category is out of 5, and then we total everything up for a total out of 20.
I tried to forget it.
Yeah.
He brings it up like
haunts
every
me.
time that he's on, so it's almost impossible to. Anyway, what do you think about the nose, Tanner, as your first?
Hi. That's me. That's my name.
That's him.
The watermelon one.
I just pointed to him on the video. You're missing so much by not
Yeah, that's
watching
true.
the video.
You should see the video. I am wearing a shirt. It's good. It's subtle. It's not very aggressive of a nose.
It's always been very like cherry heavy to me.
Cherry and floral.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A little bit of caramel hanging around, but not too much. It's almost like a cherry pie.
Yeah.
Like a cherry cordial.
Like the Warrant song.
Yes. Took me back to my Guitar Hero.
We were talking about the 80s earlier. I'm in a mood now.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of heat on the nose too, though.
Yeah, I get.
Which I mean, it's 107 proof, so
I get
of course
full-on cherry there.
there's gonna be a little
now that
bit
you've
of
said
it.
It's so good.
I don't mean to influence you or anything.
No. I mean that's helpful.
And
And
it's
a lot
one-
of times I'm just like, what does this
but-
smell like?
It's 107 proof. And we're talking about
Cherries.
We're talking about cherries and cherry pie and it just being sweet.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, wow, this is so oaky. This is so, so much heat.
Right, and I think it leads more credence to my theory that, the lower
I
the proof, it messes more with,
Yeah.
the bourbon overall. So,
Yep.
that's just me. Have you taken a sip of it yet?
No.
Would you like to?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a sip of it then.
All right.
Oh, well,
Cheers.
Cheers. Little cheersy wearsy. I don't know what I said.
I cheersed after I took a sip of it. Sorry about that, but oh dang. We're all like sitting here watching Tanner to make sure
Yeah,
that
I'm just
he
like,
actually
I feel
likes
so
it.
under
but-
surveillance.
Yeah, I'm like, appreciate it.
That's very good.
Thank you.
Good.
Did you make it? You said that like you were part of the process. Thank you. I put a lot of work into this.
Curtis
Really?
Conrad distillate.
Yes,
You
I
can't
have,
see it, but
Wow, that's interesting. It keeps
yeah,
going.
it's really full of flavor.
It sits in your mouth for a while, which is a very weird phrase, but it applies. Yeah, I'm still getting flavors from it. I get the cherry. I get the wood. I also get a little bit of like, I think I've said this multiple times, but honeysuckle. Like
Yeah,
I guess
totally.
that's the floral Curtis mentioned.
I think
but,
I think that's exactly what the floral note is on
yeah,
it though. It's honeysuckle.
That's something that like you don't hear much too, and I think that you've kind of, at least for me, brought it out a lot. Like really pinpointed it. It's honeysuckle.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's not honey. It's not a sweet flower. It's honeysuckle,
It's honeysuckle.
very specifically.
Did
Yeah.
you guys like try, or did you guys like taste honeysuckles when you were kids?
Not as kids,
You know what's
but
funny?
I've had it.
I didn't actually when I was kids, but more recently I tried it.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, oh, this is
So my babysitter had like just like rows of honeysuckle that we would just go out and pick, and then just like, and maybe that's why I'm so like used to the flavor of it.
well, it's all part of your palate development.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
everything
So
too.
for me, anytime anything is like somewhere close to that, I'm just like, oh, it tastes like honeysuckle.
Yeah, for sure. I love this palate.
But it's not.
It's just it's so well rounded. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've mentioned only sweet things, but it's not overly sweet.
No, I don't think so either. I think that it still has kind of a smoky-ish quality
Yeah.
Yeah.
to it. That's not. It's again not overpowering or anything. It's just
Yeah. And I think it's more on like the finish of it.
Mhm.
Like on the back of the
Yeah,
palate is when
for
that,
sure.
that kind of happens, and that's what I really appreciate
Mhm.
in bourbons is when it goes from sweet to this like, okay, we're gonna have a little bit.
I will say though, I don't get a whole lot of the standard vanilla or caramel notes
Sure.
on it. I do a little bit caramel as I'm kind of talking and chewing through some of the flavors.
Yeah.
But I think vanilla is fairly absent, which I'm not upset about necessarily, but
Sure.
it's just, I'm noticing that it's not there.
Yeah.
And again, not in a bad way. It's just absent from the
Yeah, that
overall
makes sense.
flavor.
Yeah.
I think the
I get
finish is
that.
incredible, though. It does go like a little bit bitter dark chocolate the longer it sits there.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But I just think that it's a super pleasant finish, and like I just want to keep
Yeah.
drinking more of it and
Yeah.
and everything. But
What percentage of bitter chocolate would you put that at? 90, 85?
my God.
we talking on the finish here? Oh, we're looking more at like a 70.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't even really understand
It's
the
funny to
question.
see chocolates categorized like that, though.
No, yeah, no,
Like
it's a
that's
real
legit
thing.
how they categorize bitter chocolates.
Yeah.
It's like 85% bitter, 90% bitter.
Did not know
95%
that.
bitter. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
you were just messing with me.
No, it's a legit.
No,
Okay.
I'm not joking. Like, that's a real thing.
Like some baking recipes will call for like 75% bitter chocolate.
Yeah.
And just that.
Weird.
Yeah. And then at some point, it becomes
Never heard of that
semi-sweet,
before.
and then it's milk or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the price on it.
Okay.
You can typically find this for $25.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is MSRP.
Okay.
MSRP or
Score just went way up.
Yep.
That's wow. Okay.
I love.
I
the
mean,
price on
honestly, all Weller.
That's a fantastic price.
If you can
Yeah.
get it at the retail price,
and stores will normally sell it.
most stores
Honestly, yeah, but there are those scalper stores that will
Yeah.
sell it for anywhere from $80 up all the way up to like $200.
do. Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid.
It
Yeah.
is dumb.
Yeah.
And I've even seen some stores that will price this lower than special reserve, which I don't understand.
Weird.
Like they'll do this at
I
100
haven't
and they'll do
seen
the
that.
special reserve at 150. I don't get it.
That's strange.
I don't get it at all.
Huh.
But anyway, I love the price. It's just so
Yeah,
hard.
that price is insane.
Dude, but even
I'm
12
still
year.
processing it. Yeah.
12 year, 35?
35 to 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
35?
we're going to try and find a bottle of the Weller Craft Your Perfect Bourbon, which is the new expression of Weller that
Yes.
came out of Buffalo Trace's Craft Your Perfect Bourbon website, which is like you go through and you choose like all these different things and like the recipe and how long it ages and
that's
all
cool.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so they compiled all that information and they actually made a bourbon out of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
That's very smart.
we're going to try to find that too. I said that this was like the final third in the triptych
Yeah.
of the Wellers, but I realized that we have one more.
Yeah.
There may be a fourth panel of the painting. that
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Like added on later.
Okay, so as I said, four categories: nose, palate, finish, price. Who wants to go first?
I think it's tradition now.
It's
let's
tradition
go
for
first.
Tanner to go first.
All right, so this is a good bourbon. I'm not gonna mince words as I usually don't. This is a very good bourbon. Nose, I'm just being. If you're not watching, I'm just being stared down.
Do you want me to look
There it is.
I can fix my hair in the
No,
camera
you're
if you
fine.
want.
It's this
Okay.
one over my shoulder. No, nose. Hold on. I'm gonna get
Smell
another,
it.
I'm gonna get another.
Give it a good sniff.
Oh, God.
What's that card from Cards Against Humanity? A good sniff.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't played cards.
I think it's a good sniff.
This is, you know, my normal thing of like would I buy it as a candle, right?
Sure.
This isn't like strong enough to really know. For me, this nose is like very. I might be just stopped up or something, but this nose is like super subtle to me, which isn't a bad thing. It's not like the best nose I've ever had on a bourbon, but it's good. So I'm gonna say it's like a 4. Palate, I think, is where it comes out and just blows me away. So I'm gonna give that a 5.
Wow.
Finish. The palate's really good.
How often have you given a 5 on here, though?
I don't know. Very rarely.
I
am.
I don't know if at
I
all.
am very impressed by this bourbon. I was
Wow.
because I was worried that it was going to get docked with the price. That's why I was so shocked. Finish, it's a little hot, but it's a one like it's the
I could-
perfage
I could
makes
get
sense.
that. I could get that.
It just for some reason it's staying in my gums. The heat of it. I don't know why, but it's like still in the bottom. Of the
I
top of my
can
mouth.
see that, like the back of my gums and then the right side of my tongue, like the
Yeah.
very back right side of my tongue.
And I don't give half, so I'm gonna give it a 3.
That was so specific.
No, I mean that's where it sits for me though. It's like
I
that's
get it.
yeah.
So I'm gonna give that a 3, and then price is a 5. That's a no-brainer. This is the fact that it's $25 MSRP is insane.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a 17 out of 20.
That may be the highest score I've ever given.
I
I'd
don't
give
think
it some
is.
higher
I think
scores.
you've had one.
Let's look.
It's got to be up there.
That's the highest score you've ever
Hey.
given.
I think it's deserving. I think the price is what sways me.
Behind that was Blanton's Straight from the Barrel and Blanton's Gold, Elijah Craig Small Batch, which was just 16 out of 20.
Gotcha.
So, I mean,
It's right there.
yeah.
Try this bourbon, especially if you can get it for that price. Don't pay $80 for it. Don't pay.
Oh, no,
ridiculous
no, no,
amounts
no,
for it.
no.
If you can get it anywhere around 25, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Kurt, what about you?
Nose, gonna give it a 4. I mean, I'm a sucker for the
so
floral. Yeah, I'm a sucker
So
for the floral, like kind of sweet notes. Just really, when you first smell it, I just love having that feeling of like, oh wow, this smells really, really good, and it's not like too much, it's not too little.
Sure.
It's just enough.
Yeah.
So I'll give that a 4. Palate, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Tanner too, 5. Like it just,
awesome.
it has so. I love Antique 107. It's so good.
Sure.
There's no way that you expect it to be that proof, which I think it really goes with your theory on that.
Yeah.
But it just, it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's has the florals. It has the smokiness, the oakiness.
Yeah.
All of that, I really appreciate
Yeah,
it. So
I totally
5.
get that.
The finish, I'll say a 4.
Yep.
I like that it has some of that heat towards the end, which, if anyone's listened before, that's usually how I enjoy having some of that heat, and sometimes I don't even notice it, compared to like you and Tanner.
Yeah.
But I
Did you almost
really
forget
like
my
it.
name?
No, I pointed to
Tyler.
Yeah.
I
You
point-
and Trevor.
No, I pointed to Perry. When
He almost said
you.
Perry again.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha. You and Perry.
Yeah. So didn't want to do that.
Gotcha.
And then the price, you got to give it a 5. I mean, $25, man.
That's insane.
Seriously?
Can I point something out really quick?
Go ahead.
In the description, which you all know I love to read, there is a very unnecessary comma. I'm going to just cut to the line. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey using wheat, comma, instead of rye in his mash bill. That's not... You wouldn't pause there. You wouldn't say...
No, you could go wheat instead of rye.
Right, but there's not a
his mash
second
bill.
comma. So it's either
okay.
no
Wheat.
commas or a second comma.
Okay.
Instead of rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey using wheat instead of rye in his mash bill. That doesn't flow at all.
Yeah, that's
This
fine.
copy's not very good. But the bourbon is, so it doesn't matter.
Well, Curtis, you gave it an 18 out of 20, which is
that
not
higher?
your highest.
Is that higher than
Well-
12 year?
I don't think it.
Is it higher than the 12 year? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
By 2 points.
He's confirmed it. The system works.
You gave the only thing you gave higher was blatant straight from the barrel at 18.5,
Yeah, that was.
and then
Go on your damn
and then
half points.
and then our favorite Henry McKenna.
Henry Penny. Yes.
Our favorite Henry McKenna bottle
Yes.
at 18.5 as well.
Don't want these
I-
damn half points.
I can't
Half
count.
isn't bad.
Bastardization
When you're getting
of
to
the
quarters,
scale.
well, then it's a little much.
I can't
purist.
count the William Lou Weller total because at that point we were only going 3 categories instead of 4.
Yeah.
And like that was 13
Also, that
out
was
of
the
15.
very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've tasted a lot
Exactly.
of bourbon since then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
How many are we up to, by the way? Like 15?
So, you guys specifically, I'm gonna go with Tanner because you've been on actually less episodes than Curtis has.
By 1, I think.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, just 10.
Oh, this is the 11th actually.
Okay.
Curtis has had a few more than you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Already
What's the range?
Curtis has already had like 6 or 7 more than you have. But there was one episode, our holiday episode that you weren't on. We reviewed
'cause I was back home.
like 4 different
Okay.
bourbons.
I was like, I
we
think
had
I
a
only
good
missed
time.
one
In
more
one
episode. than
episode.
he had.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
But overall, this is the 43rd bourbon that we've
Oh,
reviewed on the
cool.
show.
That's awesome.
And actually, having gone through a review system and everything too, there have been a couple where we've just kind of talked about it.
Sure.
But this is our 43rd actual
That's awesome.
numerated review on the show.
Yeah.
And like at some point I'm going to try to, tally everything up and see what the specifics are and,
Yeah.
range and all that. And I'm not going to be a whole big nerd about it or
Sure.
anything, but I'm curious.
Freaking math
I'm
nerd.
curious to some degree. So for me, the nose was actually the weakest point on this.
That's fair
I
enough.
thought that it was satisfying, but I didn't think that it had enough to entice. Like if I were judging it based solely on the nose, I would have been like, let's see what else you got.
Sure.
So I gave it a 3.5 actually, which is not bad,
No.
but I just thought that it was
7 out of 10.
yeah. I thought it was a little. I thought it was a little weak. Palate for me was actually a 4.5. It's missing just a little bit.
The vanilla. Whatever.
It's missing just a little
Whatever,
something
Perry.
for me, and it. Well, no, it's
I'm
not
just
that
joking.
Got
necessarily.
very defensive. It's really just a little something.
It could just be that it's got a bit too much heat on the palate, for me, or something like that. We lost Curtis.
No, it was just funny the way he said it. He was like, it's just missing a little something, okay?
Something.
Man. Anyway, I just think that it could have a bit more to it. And the finish for me, though, was a 4. Just hard and fast. I thought that it had a lot of really great things going on. And even still, the finish is lingering for me. And I'm picking up more of those chocolate notes as well. And then price was actually a 4.5.
For me. Get out.
I just...
Leave your own home.
What's your,
just leave.
What's your 5?
What's my 5 on price?
It better not be like a $70
I swear,
bourbon.
Perry, if it is
I'll
Heaven
smack
Hill
you.
bottled in bond, your price is a 5?
We actually haven't reviewed that, like straight up reviewed that on the show. I don't even agree with what my 5... Oh, wait, no, I was looking at the wrong category. I gave McKenna 10-year a 5 on price.
How much is that?
30. Which now, like...
It's just different. That's the only 5 I've given for price. Honestly,
right.
You know what? No, you know what? I've been swayed. I will give it a 5.
All right, cool.
Honestly.
Kangaroo recorded you.
If you're giving Kinder McKenna a 5, like, you have to give this a 5.
Sure. So that brings my total up to, that's 12, 17 out of 20. So
we're consistent among the bunch here.
It's a really fantastic bourbon. I hate that it's not more readily available.
Yeah.
But,
It's very good.
It's great stuff.
Agreed.
I really do enjoy it.
This is a bourbon.
Go to a bar and buy it.
This is a bourbon that I'm going to, if I'm ever anywhere, just going to make sure they don't have, and if they do, I'm going to buy it. I mean, it's one of the, and seriously, like, it's one of those kinds of things. It's like, if I see it, I'm going to buy it.
No, I don't. I mean, I typically do too if I can find it.
Yeah.
But also,
Find.
Sure, exactly. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
annoying.
If I ever see it, even if I have a stocked bar, I'm just I got to get it.
I got a call from a liquor store in Lexington, and they said, "Hey, we have 12 here. You want a bottle?" And I was like, "Yes." Do you have 107? They said, "Nope."
And so you said, "Never mind."
I'll take the 12 year.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean it's true on I mean, according to my ratings and what I say, like Antique 107 I think is better than 12 year.
Yeah. Well,
personally.
That about does it for our review. We're going to go ahead and cut the video, but thank you guys for watching over on Patreon. Appreciate that.
I blocked Curtis's face to wave. I was like, bye. Bye.
Jeez. And also, if you have not subscribed on Patreon and would like to watch this video and future ones, you can go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast and become a $2 patron, and then you will be able to see this.
Yay.
At least $2, and then it will go up. But anyway... Do you mind cutting the video?
Bye to the video. Oh.
No.
Stop. Siri. No.
Alexa. Oh, whoops.
Hey, Google. My phone actually. I actually have Google over there. Yeah. Okay, Google. There it is.
Yeah. So that does it for our review. We're going to move now on to our infamous segment, Tips and Bits.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've done Tips and Bits. Again, every time that you're on an episode, I feel like you sing that song.
Yeah.
What are you guys' tips and bits this week?
Curtis?
Get engaged. Find true love.
Aww.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly.
You dorks.
Honestly, find true love.
I'm married.
People can't take that home and you'll listen to it and watch it or play it.
I will say that.
Or read it.
It's awesome. It's really great. But I will say... I had it in my... I can't remember now.
This is why you write it down.
I know.
Or just have a mind like a steel trap like I do.
Okay. Well, jeez.
Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I have another one.
You out of here, rookie? Okay, cool. I have a couple, as always. One of them is Amine's album, Good For You. Amine was the guy who did the song Caroline that got really big.
Okay.
But the whole album is fantastic. If you like sort of happy rap, is sort of the genre I would put him in. Yeah, like
Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, like Chance or Kyle or Dram or something like that. Yeah. So if you like that sort of genre, I highly recommend that album. I've just been listening to it a lot. It's from last year, but I've just been listening to it a whole lot. Also, The Adventure Zone, the podcast that I think I shouted out in the very first episode, just put out a graphic novel which is a D&D podcast.
I think you did talk about that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the first episode, I think it was like the first time we did Tips and Bits
Sure.
as a group or something.
But they just put out a graphic novel that is fantastic. It's based on the first arc of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really, really cool way to go through it.
Could you imagine if we did that with our show?
Oh my God, there
It
would just be
miserable.
just Big Bird in every panel somehow, just
the
hiding.
board.
And then there's like tomato soup in the kitchen somewhere. But it is a really cool read. I'm not done
We
reading it
should
yet,
get
but
a
it's-
can of tomato soup.
and just put it in the video, just hide it.
Yeah, put it in the video, hide it every time.
But it's a very fantastic.
Man, I'm having
graphic
this
novel.
really good tomato soup lately.
The last thing is
Campbell's. You ever heard of it?
God of War.
The newest one?
Yes.
I've heard such good things
It's
about it.
maybe it is the first game I've played since The Last of Us, which is my favorite game of all time, that I've gone, this competes.
Really?
This could be.
Wow.
I don't think it's my
Wow.
favorite game of all time, but it's definitely top 5 easily.
It's up there. Sure.
Fantastic. Absolutely go,
Which,
go
how
play.
excited are you of
For Spider-Man?
Last of
Spider-Man
Us?
looks so
Oh, Last of Us 2, I'm going to, retire.
Yeah.
I'm going to take, a week's vacation, no joke, to play that game.
The
Like,
Spider-Man video game looks so good.
It looks so
though.
good.
I
It
mean,
comes out
just-
really soon, September 7th.
Yeah. Well, my first tips and bits is actually a do not recommend. Don't drink 36 different bourbons in one day.
Good callback.
It was just I had to get Hardee's afterwards.
Just to sober up.
Lucy goes,
Not
"Oh, we're-"
even, just to
No, just
cut
to
the
get
edge.
myself, just to get
just
myself
you
through the
there.
rest of the day, and I still had dinner afterwards too. And there was a commercial
been
on for
out.
their sliders, and Lucy goes, "Is that what you got?" And I go, "No, I got a burger that was way bigger than my face is, just so I could survive."
After 36, I would not be alive.
I'd be eating my hand.
Yeah.
I kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought about it.
Looks good.
You didn't get sick?
I didn't get sick.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
Thank your liver.
I was a little hungover the next day, but also I was done drinking by about 2:00. So I had enough, and I was
sober, hungover.
Yeah. Well, I texted Chad later in the night, and I said, I feel like I'm awake during the sleeping part of a hangover.
Yeah, that's the worst. Staying awake through the hangover. sucks.
It was miserable.
I still think the most hungover I've ever been waking up the next day was after your thing. When we were at your house, or not your house, but with your and Lucy's thing. I don't know.
Oh, are the Stock the Bar.
I didn't know if you wanted me to
Yeah.
say it or not.
Oh, speaking of
No,
which,
it's fine.
Allie and I will be having a Stock the Bar party.
Good. Yes, let me
Both
do it
of
again.
you are
Good.
invited.
Hopefully
Okay,
Prince doesn't
great.
die again, so we can, so we cry and listen to the greatest hits.
He comes back and then dies again.
Yeah, just in time for that.
You know what would be hilarious
So hungover that next day.
is to get really drunk and then do a podcast that night.
Oh my god.
Down. Let's do it.
Okay, great. Curtis is
It's gonna
committed.
be like a 10-minute episode because
I guess I-
do.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
can't
sure.
host my own party, but we're gonna host my own.
Sure,
party.
yeah. We'll make something. We'll make something happen. Also, I recently saw I, Tonya.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's
Okay.
not the best movie I've ever seen.
It's on Hulu, right?
I can't
Or
remember.
Amazon Prime. It's on one of those streaming services.
Yeah,
I just saw.
I mean, it was on one of those that when we watched it, but it's good. It's not great, but I think that Margot Robbie gives a really good performance.
She's
in it.
fantastic. I watched Wolf of Wall Street again recently, and she's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I like Side note, she's great in that movie. So where can people find you guys on social media if they would like to follow up with you?
On Instagram, I am KurtCon, and on Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
My phone just went off. Sorry. You go ahead, Tim.
Okay, I'm at Dorm Streams, DORMSTREAMS. I nailed that. On everything, Instagram, Twitter,
Way to go.
Twitch, yeah, all of it.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm at PRitter1492. Personally, if you would like to follow up with the show, we are at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Again, you can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. You can also send us emails with questions, comments, or whatever if you use thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. And speaking of the Bourbon Shop, you can buy our merch and apparel and all that good stuff if you head to bourbonshop.threadless.com. We have a lot of good stuff up there. We've had some pretty good... Hello, Marie. We've had some pretty good response recently on that as well. No, you go ahead. Have a pour.
No, I gotta
Come on.
drive home.
Okay, whatever.
We're good.
All right, that's fine. Let's see, what else? Live streams on Tuesday night. over on Instagram and Facebook. I might switch the Facebook over to YouTube. I'm not entirely sure yet. Thank you all so much for listening. Give us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes and wherever else you can give reviews. I don't know if you can do it anywhere outside of iTunes, but
Podbean?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Give us a 5-star rate and review.
Can on Google too.
We appreciate it. Guys, thank you all so much, of course,
Thanks for
being on. Yeah. It's been a while, but we'll do it again soon. Don't sing the song. You were going to sing the song. I knew you were going to sing the song. Next week, I am actually going to be having Chad and Swan on at the same time. I've not had the both of them on an episode before.
Sean.
Sure. Swatty. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I will see you very soon, but until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
I'm Perry.
Oh, okay. This is our Bourbon Podcast, I guess.
Oh, that was awkward.